Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Russia was attacked by Ukrainian drones, according to the Russian military, and we have a few statements and some information on the event. So I will start first with Associated Press, and then I will go to the Russians themselves reporting what happened. So, Associated Press reports that Russia says it foiled Ukrainian drone attack on Moscow as Kiev's counteroffensive grinds on. Okay, I don't think that's exactly what the Russians said. So Russian air defenses on Tuesday foiled a Ukrainian drone attack on Moscow that prompted authorities to briefly close one of the city's international airports. Officials said, as a Western analyst said, that Russia has managed to slow Kiev's recently launched counteroffensive. The drone attack, which follows previous similar raids on the Russian capital, was the first known assault on the city since the Tralala Keep That Alive, the Yevgeny Prigozhin. Yes, they will. This is like year zero for them. The insurrection, the attack, the whatever. So let's go to Russia Today. So let's see what the Russians are saying about it. So Russia Today reports on July 4th, and Moscow accuses Kiev of, and I'm quoting, another terrorist act. And quote, Ukrainian drone attacks in Russia are being financed with foreign money, the foreign ministry said. The US and its allies are sponsoring and I'm quoting, terrorist regime in Ukraine. Russia's foreign ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova has said following an attempted drone attack on Moscow early on Tuesday, today. UAVs launched by the Kiev regime, quote-unquote, tried to target areas with civilian infrastructure, including Vnukovko Airport, which, I'm quoting, by the way, accepts foreign flights, end quote, Zakharova wrote on Telegram. The drone incursion was, and I'm quoting, another act of terrorism, end quote, by Ukraine, she said. And I'm quoting, again, given that Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is committing those terrorist acts with weapons supplied by the West or paid for with Western funds, this is international terrorism, end quote. It's high time for the international community to realize that the US, UK, and France, which are all members of the UN Security Council, are, and I'm quoting, sponsoring a terrorist regime in Ukraine, Zakharova continued. Russia's defense ministry said earlier that 5 Ukrainian drones had been involved in the attempted attack. So here is a picture of one drone being blown up. I don't think I have a video here, but if I get to stumble over it, let's see if I do it like this. Where does it take me? Moscow targeted. Okay, that's another. All right, here we have, it seems like a video of this. There were no images on the ground resulting from the incursion. Let's see, what do we have here? Do we have any sound? It's 3 seconds, so be quick or be dead. Remember Iron Maiden's song. It was blown up. So this is the result of that. It's just all right, that's all I got here on this one. So let's return to the initial article. So 4 were shot down by the air defenses over the Novoya Moskva, New Moscow, part of the capital, while another UAV crashed in the Odintsovo district of Moscow region after being disabled by electronic warfare, according to ministry. There were no casualties or damage on the ground as a result of the incursion, it added. In late May, the defense ministry said Kiev had launched a major attack on Moscow involving 8 drones, which led to several residential buildings being damaged and 2 people suffering minor injuries. Now that I would call a terrorist attack right here. Clearly, the residential buildings were attacked, and the residential buildings are where civilians live. So therefore, I would call that a terrorist attack. Now, I don't know where these UAVs now were going to. They say they were going towards the airport, which it's a civilian airport, according to these guys, or at least receives international flights. We'll discuss that after I'm reading the article, because they call that terrorist attacks, but I think the Russians did something like that as well, didn't they? Accidentally or purposely. Earlier in the same month, 2 UAVs were disabled by air defenses while trying to strike the Kremlin in central Moscow. Ukrainian officials denied being involved, but Moscow labeled the incident, and I'm quoting, a pre-planned terrorist act, end quote, and an attempt on Russian President Vladimir Putin's life by Kiev. And let's go to Sputnik. Drones shot down in Moscow region. What's known so far? So this is 8 hours ago. Let's see, the other one was, if it says how many hours ago, 7:52. Let's see what we find. Maybe we find some more information on this one. So they call it a terrorist act again against Moscow, with 4 enemy drones being destroyed by air defense systems and 1 enemy UAV being brought down by electronic warfare. Okay, we know that one. And I'm quoting here, let's see, today another attempt was made by Ukrainian drones to attack New Moscow and the Moscow region. At the moment, the attacks have been repelled by air defense forces. All detected UAVs have been eliminated, Sobyanin wrote on Telegram. And it says here, the mayor also said that all flights restrictions previously imposed in Vnukovo airport have been lifted as of 8 a.m. local time. This is depicting debris from one of Ukrainian drones, July 4th. So, screenshot from a social media post allegedly depicting the debris from one of the Ukrainian drones down by, near Moscow today. I don't know. Could be anything, but hey, they know better, right? Or know best. So previous, this is on June 21st. So let's discuss this little, I don't know if it was little or not, but it doesn't mean that wrongs make a right. The same here. It doesn't mean that if the Russians, according to the Western media, and the Ukrainians committed so many terrorist acts in Ukraine, it doesn't mean that if they did that, the other guys are entitled to do the same. Because if you do the same act, you are what you claim the other ones are, which are terrorists. Remember, they call the Russians terrorists all the time and war criminals. Now, if you do the same thing, you should be called the same way. It's not like, someone tries to, or someone rapes one of your family members and you go and rapes that person's family members, but what you did is not rape. It's, I don't know, something else. No, it's the same act, the same thing. Meets the definition, meets the term. Fits the term, fits the definition. But now looking from the Russians' perspective, really, what did you expect? Or at least analyzing it as it is, what did you expect? You expected the Ukrainians not to attack you? Not that I agree or not, it's beyond, the point of this video. It doesn't really matter. The point is, hey, these guys will attack you. These guys, if that was the goal of attacking and killing, eliminating Putin, what do you do about it? Really, if someone would like to, and I have the evidence that those 2 drones went to the Kremlin, supposedly trying to kill the president-elect of a country, you would, change something. I didn't see any changes in the Russians' policy or, anything, strategy after that. They said, well, we want to destroy command posts. Okay, and after that they said they killed Zelensky, Zaluzny, and Budanov. I'm not certain they are killed. I know that Budanov doesn't show up. Zaluzny, they made 2 or 3 videos with him. I don't know. We're gonna find out later. But nevertheless, if that's the answer, I don't think that's the answer. If they want to, if you play chess, and they attack your queen, right? I would say the most important piece on the chess board, right? I think you don't go over there and try to eliminate a pawn or something a little, or let's say something a little bit higher. You try to go for the queen as well, right? That's the whole goal. But probably it's useless to go for the queen, the alleged queen in Ukraine, because that alleged queen is not a queen, it's just a fake queen. I'm talking about Zelensky, obviously. So I think if the Russians would eliminate Zelensky, I think there would be a negative. How should I put it? These guys will use it as a negative act, obviously, and say, hey, see what the Russians did. And then the Russians probably are afraid to, or cautious, not afraid, cautious into, I don't want to say scare, but at least create an environment where people can say, see, they attacked, they killed the world leader. Now that's terrorism right there. So probably they still want to keep. Let's use this word, keep, a moral standing from their point of view. Because if you ask the Russians, they didn't do anything wrong. If you ask the Ukrainians, they didn't do anything wrong. But somehow they both accuse one another, and I think they did. Both sides did a lot of things wrong, which is a lot of like this one. I would call it an attempted terrorist attack. Imagine that you have, let's say, in New York City, 8 Chinese drones flying, and let's say the US military shuts them all down. How would that be considered? Or let's say there are Iranian drones in New York City. How do you think that attack would be considered by the US media and politicians? Rightly so, a terrorist act. But here somehow, if you read the Western media, it's an attack. The same with the other one, when they succeeded in damaging those 2 or 3 buildings, residential buildings in Moscow. They never, ever once referred to that Ukrainian terrorist attack as a terrorist attack. They referred to it as an attack. Just put it in a different perspective. Like I said, put not New York, put Washington, D.C., where is the capital. Because you want, all right? Let's say you have 8 Iranian drones from Iran flying over Washington, D.C., and the Americans are destroying them. How would you think these guys will call that? Rightly so, terrorist attack. But here, just attack. So, no. Well, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. More attacks will come, and will be more deadly, because I think the Ukrainians are getting ready to send to Moscow some more sophisticated drones, faster and in a bigger number. That's my prediction, and it's not a genius prediction. I think it just follows the pattern that these guys are implementing. And they will send those, if you remember, those rocket-propelled missiles from the Soviet era, 1970s, that they sent towards Moscow. They destroyed those Russian planes on a Tamarack and so on. Those are coming, and those are big ones, not that these guys can just deactivate with electronic warfare, blah blah blah. See you in the next video, coming soon, actually in a few minutes.